friends. Welcome back to the next session on operations planning, scheduling, and control. Now, let's begin with our learning. In this particular session, we'll be studying the concept of pillars of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. The learning objectives. At the end of this particular session, the learners will be able to understand what do we mean by total productive maintenance, what are the various activities that have been carried out under the TPM, describe the 8 pillars in TPM. Now let's first understand what do we mean by the TPM, that is total productive maintenance. Strategy that operates according to the idea. So there's a certain business idea that has been generated in a business organization. And when that particular idea is being operated, the strategy that is being used to operate a particular idea is called as a strategy. Everyone in a facility or on a shop floor should participate and contribute in the betterment of the maintenance. So the total productive maintenance considers a certain scenario wherein any organizational activity that needs to be undertaken, everyone must be a participant of those consideration, whether it is a facility, whether it is a shop floor activity, or whether it is a maintenance activity. Not only the specialized people, but every participant, every employee, every member should be the participants of those consideration in which they must have a contribution towards the maintenance activities. This method of the organization, which is advantageous to all the employees, talents, and aims to include the maintenance induced facilities of day-to-day operations, is called as the total productive maintenance. Total productive maintenance focuses on the activities that have been initiated, that has been undertaken by an individual person and by an individual operator at the different level. And when it combines together, that is the concept of TPM has been applied, we have the constitution as the operator plus maintenance, that is we maintain. Initially, the activities have been carried out in a separate constitution, that is our operator is separate and the maintenance is separate. So in case of an TPM, that is total productive maintenance, both the activities, that is the operating activity and the maintenance activity, is being carried out in a well-coordinated way and it is having a joint composition. So an individual person is performing the job of operator also and the maintenance also, and a maintenance person is conducting the job of maintenance also and the operator also. And if a certain activity needs to be conducted in the joint association, then accordingly both the peoples come together and perform their activities. So such type of scenario from I to V is called as the concept of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. So it transforms or it moves from I use or I maintain to we maintain, and accordingly both the people, that is the operator and maintenance, comes together and perform their business activities in a very better and effective way. Now let's understand what are the various 8 pillars of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. The first pillar is autonomous maintenance. The second pillar is process and machine improvement. The third pillar is the preventive maintenance. The fourth pillar is the early management of new equipment. The fifth pillar is the process quality management. The sixth pillar is the administrative work. The seventh pillar is the education and training. And last, the eighth pillar is the safety and sustained success. So these are the various 8 pillars of TPM, which are the various foundation stones for the better production activity or maintenance level that is being undertaken in the business organization or the manufacturing unit. Now let's understand the first pillar, that is the autonomous maintenance. So this is the very first pillar of the TPM, which takes into account about a work group activity that has been self-contained as a part of a maintenance agent. So autonomous maintenance is a part of an activity which has been undertaken by a group person or by an individual person on a self-motivated basis. This particular activity, every individual on his own conducts of his particular consideration, and those particular activities are the self-management agents, either it is being conducted on an individual basis or on a work group basis. Everyone has the authority to clean, examine, and maintain the particular assets and which they operate. So autonomous maintenance is a part of a constitution wherein everyone is having a certain participation and they are looking after each and every activity or an authority to either clean, examine, and maintain the assets of the business organization. So what does it guarantees? These particular steps or the process of autonomous maintenance guarantees that every piece of equipment is looked after. It enhances the early issue detection and allows the maintenance professionals to focus on more important activities. So they are having a major consideration as to the focus on important activities, and they can focus on how do we control or how to maintain those activities in the better considerable way. Now let's understand the second pillar, that is process and machine improvement. So the second pillar focuses on the concept of process and machine improvement, which is always the concept of focused improvement. So the second pillar of TPM is denoted, or it has been termed as the focused improvement. In this particular case, or in the second pillar, The goals of the organizations are very clear, and it is always aiming to continually improve, and improve in a better consideration. So process and machine improvement, that is, how do we improvise a particular process? How do we improvise the assembly line? How do we improvise a particular machine? How do we improvise a particular work culture environment and so on? So it is continuously focusing on the improvement as the major consideration. So continuous improvement is the consideration that is being undertaken in the second pillar of TPM. This vision must be shared by the entire team to avoid the loss of equipment, the talent, the raw resources, and the energy. So these particular process and machine improvement focuses on how do we, as a part of a coordination of team, all the activities have been conducted in a well-coordinated way, and those resources have been utilized in a better considerable environment of the business organization. The staff in this particular situation must be very proactive, and they must be open to trying up new approaches and eager to sit around the table and solve the challenges. So this particular concept of process and machine improvements involves the involvement of all the people at all the levels, wherein the people in the business organization must come together and share a particular table to discuss a certain issue and how those particular issues can be solved at a better way or in a better context or a scenario. So this particular strategies or the scenario focuses on solving the problems in a group and not on individual basis. The third pillar of TPM, that is total productive maintenance, is preventive maintenance, wherein it focuses on the various planned activities or planned maintenance, whether reactive or preventative. So it is the most effective strategy to arrive at the downtime and how do we control the various malfunctions in the business organization. So there are various concerns wherein the downtime may be arise, the machine may go to a breakdown, and there are various malfunctioning activities where that can be conducted. So preventive maintenance is of a certain consideration wherein we need to identify a certain activity or a certain consideration at the previous level, and on the basis of those particular identification, how do we can prevent those activities in a greater extent or at a greater level at an early stage. Maintenance of all assets in order to assure the quality and avoid the consumer complaints, that is for B2C, and for increased compliances, that is B2B. So the concept of preventive maintenance as a part of pillars of TPM can be applied either for the scenario of B2C or it can be either applied for B2B. So maintenance of activities, that is, it can be applied at the consumer level as well as it can be applied at the business level. That is for the various compliances that needs to be undertaken from company to company, organization to organization, and so on. The maintenance that necessitates the shutdown of the machinery should be performed, and accordingly, outside of the normal working hours should be undertaken, and those particular activities must be performed within a specific time period. So preventive maintenance is the concept of identifying a certain activity at the initial stage and how do we control those particular activities at an early downtime stage, then specific concerns focusing on the control of machinery, control of goods, control of commodities, and so on. So maintenance of control of those particular activities for a specific time period is the concept of preventive maintenance. The fourth pillar of TPM, that is total productive maintenance, focuses on early management of the new equipment, wherein we need to have a particular proper focus on the management of new equipment. So one of the 8 foundations of the successful TPM plan is early equipment maintenance. So we must have an early equipment maintenance wherein a proper time should be provided, a proper measurement and a threshold limit should be provided as to how do we and when do we check a particular equipment. So early management of a new equipment or sourcing of a particular machinery or upkeep maintenance is essentially required. So considering the prior experiences while selecting the new equipment or developing the new items to make the maintenance very easier. So how do we conduct the various activities in a considerable way? All those activities can be performed in a better consideration and we can have a better control of the activities. This scenario of selecting a new equipment in a better considerable way can be a basic as a part of selecting a washable wall plant, which makes cleaning simpler, or as a part of a sophisticated as selecting a robot that can self-diagnose the faults and it can improve the production activity by self-assessment and self-repairs and maintenance that needs to be identified. So we may have a particular roboting system which can be implemented, which identifies a certain fault or which identifies a default scenario and how those particular defaults are being implemented or they have been cured at an early stage. The fifth pillar of TPM focuses on the process quality management. So in terms of process quality management, one needs to assess and identify as to what are the various processes that one needs to follow and how those particular processes can be completed in a better consideration way. So one of the TPM's main aims is to produce a zero faulty goods, which of course affects the customer happiness. So process quality management focuses on providing the better quality products to the customers. And when the customer receives a certain amount of goods which are of a qualitative nature, it ultimately increases their satisfaction level and they are more happy about the product that has been delivered. So Ultimately, producing the goods which are of an less faulty nature and which are more qualitative in those concerns is the concept of process quality management. As a result of this, another pillar is the quality management, and hence the implementation of internal quality control mechanisms is easily possible with the help of pillars of TPM. So when the pillars of TPM are being implemented, they are being used in the business organization. The internal control team can be set up very immediately and very quickly, and the process quality management can be undertaken at a better stage. So that is the concept of process quality management that can be undertaken. The next consideration as to finding out the sources of an issue, we propose using one of the numerous root causes, that is an analysis technique. So in case of when we have a better consideration of an analysis, the analysis that can be undertaken in a process quality management can be very considerable, very effective. And from those considerations, we can have a better effective or implementation of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. The sixth pillar of TPM is the concept of administrative work. So the office work or the office administration work that has been undertaken is the final of the 8 pillars, which focuses on how do we control the peoples in the organization or the processes or the documentation. So instead of leaving it to the workers, the administrative staff and management should be pitched in. So accordingly, how do we have a control on workers? How do we have a control on managements? How do we have a control on administrative people, the staff and the management and so on? Is the concept of administrative work that focuses on the sixth pillar, that is the pillar of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. From logistics to scheduling, everyone without exception must be proactive and focused on the continuous improvement. So what continuous improvements is needed to be undertaken, how those activities is needed to be considered in a business organization. All those activities are there for a better considerable way, and it is an activity of administrative concern in the perspectives of TPM. Seventh pillar of TPM in terms of total productive maintenance is the concept of education and training. So in case of an education and training, various education and that is what knowledgeable training session and programs for the information providing and knowledge sharing activities must be undertaken in the concept of TPM. So TPM necessitates a financial investment in training and education, wherein a proper investment as to creating a better knowledge and better information for impartment should be created. Basic maintenance knowledge of all assets utilized on a daily basis is required for a TPM to operate. So knowledge or information about the machines, the process, the activities that is needed to be undertaken. If a particular default situation arises, what training needs to be given and how the upkeep maintenance of the machine can be undertaken by each and every individual is the concept of TPM. Furthermore, given how quickly technology advances or constant training is the only way to ensure that your experts are up to date or new equipment and industry practices can be implemented in a business organization. And hence, for those consideration in manufacturing unit, education and training to all the people, all the employees or all the shop floor people is essential and it is necessary. And lastly, the eighth pillar of TPM is the safety and sustained success. So safety, that is a zero work-related injuries, pollution and burnout, all those issues must be avoided, and hence we must see that there must be a safety and healthy environment for conduction of business activities. And there should be a continuous preference for the sustained success. Good maintenance administration not only prevents accidents during maintenance, but it also adds to the well-being and safety of all the employees. So when we have a safety and well-being for all the employees, we can have a certain considerable impact on how do we administer and how to monitor those activities, and the maintenance of those activities can be conducted in a better way. Proper equipment and building upkeep maintenance can assist to the organization to have lower their figures, and accordingly they can save a certain cost, and the healthy environment in the business organization can be created in a better consideration. So now let's summarize what we have learned in this particular session. In this particular session, we have understood what do we mean by the concept of total productive maintenance, what are the various 8 pillars of TPM, and explanation of each pillar of TPM in detail, that is the total productive maintenance. I hope you must have enjoyed the learning in this particular session. We'll stay connected and we'll continue with our learning. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you.